Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Art of What's Next. I'm your host, Grace Kraaijvanger. Today, I'm taking you back in time with me to a talk that I gave at the Hivery's Entrepreneur and Inspiration Lab in San Francisco. Tune in as I share with you stories of how I found the inspiration and wisdom to create my own next chapter, and messages for you on how no one else has what you have to offer this world. I hope you enjoy this collection of stories that feels as timely today as it did a few years ago at this beautiful event. Come on with me to the Hivery stage and share this episode with a friend who is creating her next chapter. I hope you enjoy it.
Everyone, I had an amazing reaction when I pulled into this parking lot this morning, and my eyes filled up with tears for everything that we have created together to get to this point. So I thank you so much, each and every one of you, for being here today. So we've been looking forward to this day for so long, and as I look out at each of you, I am overwhelmed and moved by the power and love and warmth that happens when we gather together as a community. It's truly extraordinary, and I'm so overwhelmed to be here in this space with you. I do want to tell you a story. I moved to San Francisco when I was 21 years old. And one of the reasons I moved to this beautiful city is because of a man named Alonzo King. He's the artistic director of Lyons Contemporary Ballet, and he taught me a very powerful message that I want to convey to you today. When we were in dance class, he would describe to us, he would say, I am not training you to be a dancer. I'm training you to be a human being. I'm training you to dig deep into yourself, to embrace the fullest depth of humanity. And when you dig deep into yourself to express you as you really are, it transcends dance, and it becomes an act of kindness, of love, of humility, of courage, of togetherness. And those words have never left me. I believe that I was not training with him to be a dancer, and I'm not standing here right now to lead an event. We are here together to come into the depth of humanity, to be the very best person that we can be. And I know why you showed up. I know that you showed up because something inside you says, I have something to give this world. You may know exactly what it is. You may have no idea what it is. And anything in between, it's all good. But what I ask of you today as you embrace this beautiful day is that you dig deep into that depth of the human spirit to step into your greatness. You are not here to attend an event. You are here to dig into the depth of humanity. And I honor you for doing that. I can't start today without talking about someone very special. Some of you knew her. I stood in this room 6 months ago with my younger sister, Maggie, and she was so excited for this day. And what she wanted to do was feed you, because her magic sauce was to be a chef, and she knew that her job was to make people feel nourished and warm and accepted and loved. And some of you may know that I lost my younger sister in May. So I am dedicating this event to my dear Maggie. And if you will hold her in your heart today, it would mean the world to me. It's always good to start the day with a good cry and just test out your waterproof mascara and make sure all your lashes are in place. Just testing the runway over here. It's also good, actually, I'm not ashamed at all to cry, because I want you to know that this is your space. This is your vulnerable and honest space, and we are real people with a range of feelings and a depth of emotion that is incredibly powerful. There's one last here. Maybe not the last. And what I believe in for you, what I want for you today, is a few things. One thing I want you to remember today as you're going throughout the day is that the time for what you're feeling, that rustling in your belly that is telling you, I am here for something. I am here on this earth for something that matters deeply, and I am ready to step into it. And I want you to look at your watch and say, the time is now. It's now. We are in one of the greatest moments of our lifetime to make an impact. We are ready to make a difference. We are being driven to make a difference. Change does not happen when we are in comfort. Change happens when we are being pushed, sometimes triggered, sometimes angered, saddened. But change happens when we look within and say, I want it to be different. And I am capable, and I have capacity, and I have something to give this world. And that's what each of you are here today to do. And I know that there are things this last couple weeks that have taken our hearts and twisted them around. So you take your heart and you connect it to your gut in the deepest instinct you have, and you remind yourself that the time is now. And we need you. We aren't waiting. We aren't letting fear get in the way. We are stepping in. We are being bold. We are using our voice. Yes, we are. I want to tell you a story about before I started the Highbury, I was in a deep spiraled state of transition. I knew that there was something else I was meant to do. I enjoyed a beautiful career as a dancer. I loved being an artist. I love creating. And when the time came for me to retire from dance, I stepped into something else. I stepped into a career in marketing. I was marketing for technology companies here in the Bay Area, and I was good at it. And I charged good money for it, and I was doing well, and I could pick up my kids after school because I had created flexibility for myself. But there was something missing, and that was that passion, that deep-seated passion that I knew. I had tasted it before. I had felt that as a dancer. I know what it's like to be deeply passionate about your work. And I had had dreams and visions of creating a space for women. And I didn't quite know what it would look like. I certainly could never have imagined it would look like this. I had no idea. But I wrote, and I inspected, and I was curious, and I explored. And one day, I talked to a very dear friend of mine, Julia. She's an opera singer here in San Francisco. And I told her, I have this idea, and it's burning to get out of me. I think I'm supposed to create a space for women. I'm supposed to create a space to create meaningful work that's creative and beautiful and lovely. And Julia said to me, you told me about this idea 10 years ago. And I was stunned. 10 years. It is possible to sit on an idea that is your deepest contribution to this world and to wait. It's possible. I experienced it. And let me tell you, when your good friend says, you told me 10 years ago, you get off your booty and you start making your work, because you're not going to wait another 10 years to make that happen. So I will remind you that the time is now. The other thing I want you to hold deep in your hearts as you are going through the day is that you are the one. You, the individual, each and every one of you here in this room have a special magic sauce that only you have. You're like a unique strand of DNA. I can't replicate you. She can't replicate you. You are you. And you bring experience, knowledge, pain, heartbreak, wisdom, resilience, passion, and you bring it in your package. And nobody else has what you have. So I want to tell you emphatically from the bottom of my heart, I'm not going to ask you, I'm going to demand it. You have to let it out. You're the only one. And if you don't let out your secret sauce, your magic way, the unique thing that only you have to offer this world, the world will not get it. And that feels devastating to me. That's what gets me out of bed every morning, today at 5, for you. I want this for you so deeply. And I will remind you again, I have a guardian angel with me. Her name is Maggie. You can borrow her. It's all good. If you need someone to remind you that you have something to contribute to this world, you can borrow Maggie. She'll be with you. She's with me. It's all good. You'll have someone to say, you're the one. You are the one to make a difference. You're the only one that can do what you do. So I ask you, I almost said plead, but I'm not going to plead because I don't have to. You have to let yourself out. Step into your boldness. Give that meaningful contribution. Those of you that have been to the Hivery know that I have a quote that is deeply important to me. Martha Graham, a pioneer of modern dance, a choreographer, and a fierce female leader who was way beyond her time. She danced until she was 93 years old, and when someone asked her if she would keep dancing, she said, this is my gift. This is my contribution. She kept dancing until her final days because she knew it was her gift to this world. And when I heard this quote when I was 16 years old, I knew that it was my message and my mantra, and I will share it with you today as we begin. There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. You do not even have to believe in yourself or in your work. You have to keep yourself open and aware to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. No artist is pleased. There is no satisfaction whatever at any time. There is only a clear, divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive than the others. Thank you, Martha. So when you get that feeling that I had, the Great American Freakout, and you're wondering if you're the one that can do this, I'm going to remind you that fear, being afraid, sits in your stomach. I'm very aware of the human body. I've been training to dance since I was 3 years old. I know where fear sits. It's in your gut. Guess where exhilaration sits? In your gut. They're right there. They're right next to each other. Fear and exhilaration come from the same place in your body. So when you become afraid of how great you can be, when you become afraid of how bold your voice can be, when you become afraid of how big of an impact you can have, I want you to go back to that place in your stomach and remember, you know what? That feels an awful lot like exhilaration. And you know what exhilaration feels like? Being alive. And I'm very, very much alive. I want you to take a deep breath. Breathe in. Breathe out so your person next to you can hear you. You are all very, very much alive. So, the last thing I want you to take into today is that you are not alone. I'm going to tell you a story, and it makes me laugh. When I started the Hivery, I would do tours. We do tours every Monday and Friday. If you've been to one, raise your hand. Been to a tour of the Hivery? They're really fun. We show people around the space, and then we end the tour around a table, and we ask people a simple question. What brought you here? And people will say things like, well, I need a place to work, or I'm thinking about writing a book. And inevitably, someone will say, I'm trying to get away from my laundry. And I've learned it's not about the laundry. It's about the lonely. Because being alone in your work, where the only colleague that you have is your laundry, is not inspiring. So what we're seeking is each other. You're not alone. You have each other. So today, you're creating this brave, bold, impactful collective. The definition of community is that it's made up of individuals. And a great community is one that honors the individual. I want each of you to be you. I honor that each of you are the ones that have your own secret sauce. And as we come together as individuals and come into community, the community embraces that individuality and integrates values. We bring together our individualism with values. We wanted to make sure that you remember the core values for today. We put them on the wall. Kindness, always first. Kindness leads. Kindness is what will make this world different. And kindness is very different from nice. Nice is pretty. Nice is the surface. It's good. It's great to be called nice. Kindness is the depth. Kindness is in humanity. Kindness is being a woman. It's deep inside, and we have it to share. Creativity is something that is not reserved for traditional artists. Creativity is in all of us, and I ask you and invite you to share that creativity today. Creativity is expression, and you are here to express your secret sauce to this world. And the last value is community. It's the togetherness. So I'm giving you an assignment today. I would like for each of you to think of something that you can ask today of someone in this room, your big ask, something you need help with. And I want you to commit to asking someone in this room for something you need help with today. And I want you to commit to offering your help to someone in this room today. That is what makes community happen, is the power of the ask, which takes bravery. It takes bravery to be able to ask. And it takes kindness and compassion and an open heart to be able to give and receive your community for where they are. So going back to the earlier part of my talk where I talked about Alonzo King and my experience as a dancer, you've heard me say this before. I believe that we are artists of this life. And the wonderful thing about being an artist is that we get a creative process. And in the creative process, it's honest, it's messy, we can start over, we can throw it away and change mediums. We are the artists and we get to decide. But as you go into today, I want you to remember one thing, from me to you, from one artist of life to another. Each of you are a masterpiece. And I want each of you to enjoy this day as the masterpiece that you are. And I'm so deeply honored that we are in this together. Thank you so much.
I hope you found this episode helpful, idea-provoking, and inspiring, especially if you're in the midst of creating or clarifying your next chapter. I can't even put into words how much I appreciate you, your vulnerability, your stories of creating a life and meaningful work amidst adversity, grief, ever-changing and challenging times, and of course, life's peaks and uncertain valleys. You are seekers, wisdom sharers, and artists of life, and together we can build meaningful next chapters that feel aligned with who we really are, what we're put on this earth to do, and how we can make a difference one human being at a time. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And I would love it if you could leave a review for the art of what's next. If you know someone who wants to create a new chapter or who would appreciate this episode, please share it with them. You can text it to them or email them the link or post about the show on your Instagram. If you want more help in creating your own meaningful next chapter, join the Hivery newsletter to get inspiration, stories, and resources to help you create your next chapter like an artist. Sign up at thehivery.com/podcast or at the link in the show notes.